As we approach the halfway point of the season, our drivers head north to Pennsylvania for round 5 of BRL's Dirt Street Stock Series from Lernerville Speedway. And you are going to get to watch all of the action unfold live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth once again is Devon Henry. Making it all happen behind the scenes is our director Sean Ambrose, and he's using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Well, practice is currently taking place down on the track as the drivers try and learn Lernerville. So let's give you an idea of what this track is like too with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Lernerville Speedway, a staple in the Pennsylvania dirt track racing scene. For over 50 years, Lernerville Speedway has hosted sprint cars, late models, and modifieds on a weekly basis with annual visits from the world of outlaws. Located 30 minutes north of Pittsburgh in the tiny town of Sarver, Lernerville is known for its high speeds and the unique 4/10-mile layout. When a driver first rolls out onto the track at Lernerville, they might ask, where'd the wall go? The only barrier at this track separates fans from the action down the front straight, and it's a short one. That makes Lernerville particularly challenging for those who like to ride around on the cushion. On the top side can help keep the speeds up and provide momentous runs. If you drop your right rear, you're probably off staring at the trees. Well, the layout at Lernerville is also asymmetrical, creating 4 very different corners, and as a result, the back straight's never really actually straight. Turn 3 can be especially deceiving. It's got a wide, sweeping entrance, but buyer beware. Turn 4 cuts hard, and that wall we talked about, well, it'll still come out and bite you. Well, that's our look at Lernerville Speedway. We hope you enjoy the show.
And that track guide was brought to you by Jason Galvin, who I want to brag I beat in an IndyCar race on iRacing earlier, only because he lost the connection, but still, it happened. This race, by the way, is brought to you by the Cruise Shop, which has been in operation since 1986. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. Give them a call today at 260-755-6125 or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. Tonight's heat races are brought to you by Jim Beaver Esports, the official esports team of Jim Beaver and the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Follow the team at jimbeaveresports.com or on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram to keep up with their drivers in iRacing World Championships, private leagues and more. Well, Devon, we've seen the track guide and we're looking at the track in the background right now, but it looks a lot different to what I was doing during practice. I just saw grass and hills.
Yeah, and some guys will actually have that view a little bit later tonight. This 4/10-mile dirt clay oval opened back in 1967. 9 degrees bankings here in the corners, and yeah, the biggest issue, no walls. So yeah, a number of drivers are going to see a lot of bit of grass sometimes, especially if you're a little too trigger happy on that throttle. It can happen down the back straightaway. It can happen on exit, or sometimes you just straight up miss your corner. And if you get caught up in that grass, it's more like a sand trap here at Lernerville. You will have a hard time getting out. And also, it looks very cloudy right now. I mean, like, it almost might rain. And man, if iRacing had rain, that'd make for a very interesting night, but at least one less set of circumstances potentially here tonight. It's just no walls, no rain tonight here at Lernerville.
Yeah, if iRacing did have rain, I'd think, like you, that it's about to bucket down any moment. These are the darkest clouds I've seen on iRacing in a long, long time. Well, as I mentioned, we're approaching the halfway point of a season. Let's give you an idea of what this season is like with our race details. This is round 5 of the 11-round BRL Dirt Street Stock Series. We have a heat race format. The A main is limited to 20 cars. We have not had a full field of 20 cars show up so far this season, but even with our fields of 15, 16 or so cars, we have seen some great races throughout the season. So as we mentioned, 20 cars make the feature. We've got heat races and the Consi coming up before that, and these drivers are all racing the same setup. But some drivers, Devon, are a little bit better at mastering it than others. Let's take a look at our championship.
Yeah, looking at the points, Bobby Rafferty currently ahead of Steven Spies by 17 points. And then the field, Robbie Robinson, Willie Whittaker, Justin Morton, kind of got a big gap right now to Bobby Rafferty. But everyone might be able to make that up right now. 16 drivers are currently entered with only 4.5 minutes left here in practice. And no sign of the Jim Beaver Esports driver yet of Bobby Rafferty. Unfortunately, real life also happens to happen while we try to iRace. So we do hope that we get Bobby Rafferty in this race. But if he's not able to make it tonight, Steven Spies has an opportunity to take over the points lead, and Robbie Robinson and Willie Whittaker, along with the rest of the crew, has a chance to close up on this championship standings here in season number 4 of the Dirt Street Stocks.
And one name that you don't see on that graphic yet, but you may very well see it in the coming weeks, is John Hine. He currently sits 10th in the championship, and the only reason he's back there is because he's only been in 2 races so far this season, but he's won both of them. And we also have a couple of new names tonight, it looks like, Devon. I'm seeing Michael Reddin out there and Gabe Glatfelter, and it's not too hard to find them in the practice timing sheets because they're right at the top.
Yeah, they are pretty good. Michael Redding, no stranger to this series, although has been a kind of off and on, not been able to make all the Friday nights. Good to see Redding back out here with his Evel Knievel helmet. Gabe Glatfelter, I'm going to have to look around. I do not recognize that name, but P2 on the board ain't too shabby. How about a couple of asphalt guys from BRL join us tonight, including Jason Menda and Mike Holloway. Yeah, they do dip their toes here in the dirt every now and again. Holloway coming back again for another week this season. So we have a number of asphalt guys. Looks like at least one new driver and a little bit of fresh eyes here. But like you mentioned, Sam, John Hine, it's nice to have an average finish of 1.0. And yeah, I think we're going to see his name pop up on the points board here soon. Back-to-back A-main wins, looking for number 3 here tonight at Don Martin's Lernerville Speedway.
So there you see the practice times on the left-hand side of your screen. You can also get full timing and scoring at GSRC.tv. That is running live right now and throughout the night. Just head on over to GSRC.tv and you'll be able to follow all of the action throughout practice, Consi, the warm-up, and qualifying, which we have just coming up here in a couple of moments. Now, one of the big stories from last week was Steven Spies trying to fight his way through the field at Lanier. He qualified very well, Devon, but then he was kind of on the back foot for the rest of the night. He had difficulty getting through the field in the heats in the main, and at the end of the race, wasn't really fighting for the win.
Yeah, Lanier is just a tough track. It's kind of a dirt track, kind of not. It was a dirt track back in the 70s and 80s and not so much anymore. So it's a really strange dirt configuration because it is essentially if you just slap some dirt over the asphalt setup here on iRacing. So it does make for some difficult passing as we continue to look at those dark, ominous clouds off the hood of Kenny Kibbe here. But this is a much different track. Hopefully there is enough wheels on the track, enough tires down to kind of slick off this track and really make it a multiple groove track, and that will let some of the drivers who maybe don't have a great heat race move up through the field and make for some really interesting racing here.
Just got a little bit over 1 minute left of practice before we get set to qualify. So the way qualifying will work, if you're new to watching this series, is they will all have the track to themselves for 5 minutes where they can turn 4 laps. iRacing will take their best time and grid them up in that order, but that won't be the starting grid for the A-main. In fact, it won't even be the grid for the heat races. It will be the inverse grid for the heat races, and we'll explain that in more detail as we get closer. But you don't want to sandbag. You do want to go for the win, for the win in your heat races, for pole position in qualifying, because at the end of the day, all of that pays bonus points, which could be very critical down the round in this 11 race long championship.
You want every single point you can possibly grasp. Points are awarded in qualifying, in the heat races, and also in the consolation round, along with, obviously, your feature event tonight. But leading in qualifying, leading your heat race can pay big dividends when you have up to 3 or 4 heat races in a given night. So that can be oh so important. Yeah, there is no sandbagging. You want to get the best qualifying position possible because there's only 6 cars in the heat races. It's not too bad to try to move around just 5 cars. So you do have an opportunity to try to make up those spots and go for max points in qualifying and also in your heat.
All right, and now it's time to qualify, and so all of the drivers will have to track themselves for 5 minutes to turn the best to 4 laps. And what we normally see, Devon, is some of the championship contenders kind of like to leave it until the last minute to get out there and qualify, but we have some cars taken to the track. The 71 here of John Hine, who definitely, I think, will be a championship contender in the long run. I also see the 45 of Jason Mender out on track and a couple other cars getting going early.
So taking a look here at John Hine, you see him running a little bit more towards the bottom. So for those of you guys a little bit newer to dirt racing, right now the entire track kind of has the same amount of grip. And so you want to use that inside lane right now, even though, you know, the obvious trope with dirt racing is ripping the lip all the time. Well, right now, the entire track does have grip in it. As John Hine puts down the fastest lap, quickly put down by Michael Redding, though. And now, with 4 qualifying laps here, John Hine uses the outside. He's going to try to get as much throttle on corner exit here, try to get a jump here on his second lap. A very forgiving qualifying session here, Sam, with 4 laps in BRL.
And Michael Redding currently fastest ahead of Gabe Glatfelter. They were also the 2 at the top of the timing charts in practice. John Hine sitting in 3rd, but he just bumps his way up into 2nd place. And what we're looking at, a 16-car field here, so I have a feeling we're going to be seeing 3 heat races. Probably 1 race with 6 cars and 2 races with 5. We'll wait and see how iRacing figures that all out.
That is the likelihood. We will talk about it later as we get into the heat races, but even though everyone makes it into the A-main, we will still have a consolation as Michael Redding puts down his final lap. He will stand on an 18.520 as John Hine and Gabe Glatfelter sit behind him right now.
And as I'm looking at the timing charts, we actually just had another driver connect to the session, the 38 of Angela Taylor, so that bumps the field up to 17 cars. Still has 2 minutes to try and get out there and put a time down in qualifying.
Has plenty of time, but right now no one able to top the lap of Michael Redding, as now almost everyone has completed laps. Kenny Kibbe and Steven Spies now making their way onto the track to begin their qualifying runs, as Spies heads up on the board, and 18.6 is going to move him a little bit further back than I think he's hoping for, as now J.R. Shepard completes another lap.
Yep, so this is the 98 car of J.R. Shepard, so far a little bit further down the order. Here's Melton in the 75, and Kenny Kibbe, who I believe is coming off of a 6th place finish the last race at Lanier. So still some drivers, as we mentioned, Devon, waiting for the final moments just to see where they can end up on the grid.
And that will happen because you want to know, what do I need to beat? And so some guys will hold back. Wait a minute. It looks like just about everyone has laps on the board. Rod Melton, Kenny Kibbe, Steven Spies, the only drivers still on the clock right now with a $1:30 to go. Spies coming by again here, cannot better his time though, and that will be it for the 55 machine.
Still, Spies is towards the top end of the qualifying charts, as we normally expect him. Let's hope for his sake that he has a bit of an easier time this week coming through the field. We've got just a little over a minute left of qualifying to go. I think we saw the car get in the wall there, and you can't do that still. A 0X will still disqualify your lap time.
Yeah, unfortunate there, but still, it's going to work out enough as Kibbe still trying to find a way to move up through the standings, currently 5th overall in qualifying right now.
Yeah, and only half a tenth off of the fastest time in qualifying. In fact, the top 6 currently are all within a tenth of a second of Michael Reddin's 18.519. So the times are very tight around here, which you kind of expect to see at such a small track. But I think that's quite a statement straight off the bat from Michael Reddin, that he's just shown up for the first time in this series this season. And he's won practice and qualifying. He's definitely putting the target on his back.
Yeah, Michael Redding is a fast driver. He knows how to get around dirt. He has been doing it for a while here with this series, even though he's making his season debut here in Season 4. Looking back in Season 3, which was only a few weeks ago, to be honest with you, 8th in points, average start of 5th, and average finish of 7th place. So Redding knows how to work his way around and is familiar with these BRL guys.
We saw Angela Taylor was unfortunately not able to get a qualifying time in, but they'll still be able to make a heat race. The first heat race is getting gridded up. The starting order will be Mike Holloway ahead of Joe Segala. Ron Snyder will start third ahead of Jared Melton. Gabe Glatfelter and Michael Reddin, now 2 new fast guys, will be starting from the back row. Whoever wins this heat race gets to start on pole for the A main.
And that is the priority. It is fun to start on the point, and when you qualify into heat number 1, you are given that opportunity. And even for Mike Holloway, this is an inverted field, so essentially Redding, the fastest driver from qualifying in this field, Holloway, the slowest driver from qualifying in this field. But you have an opportunity here to try to get yourself a good finishing position to set yourself up for the main event tonight. Now, only the top 3 will transfer, so the back 3 will move to the consolation race still. They do not have a guaranteed spot in the race. But, like you said, Sam, you win this race, you start pole in tonight's feature event.
Yeah, I'm just checking my stats here before I make a false announcement, but it is the case that whichever one of these 6 drivers wins this race, it will be their first pole of the season. None of these drivers have taken pole for the A-Main yet during this championship. Granted, it's still quite a young season. This is only round 5. Mike Holloway has elected to start on the high side, although I think he's having connection issues.
A little bit. We'll see if he can work that out. They will go on Mike Holloway's call here as the pace truck rolls on off. We're ready for heat race number 1.
Coming through turn 4, Mike Holloway's on the loud pedal, and we are racing for the first heat race of the night. These heat races being brought to you by Jim Beaver Esports. Joe Segala already going down low, and Mike Holloway's already off into no man's land.
That's a tough one. Right now, the inside is where you want to be. It has that grip. It has that speed. Redding made a dive bomb attempt after already passing a car or 2 and is now in the final transfer spot as Gerard Melton challenges on the outside for P1.
Yeah, Melton trying to make a high side work then on the high side of Segala down the back straight, and he's going to pull out in front as they go off into turn 3 and 4. But riding that cushion, as you mentioned, Devon, it's dangerous around here because if you go over it a little bit, there's no wall to save you.
Well, I tell you what, these guys are already proving me wrong. It looks like the track already took a little bit of beating from earlier. The inside not prevailing right now for Joe Segala, falling out of that final transfer spot. Everyone riding the rim right now is Ron Snyder moves into the final transfer spot in the black and white number 29.
Well, Michael Reddin entered a little bit low there and exits high, and the 75 of Melton is going to try and take advantage and try and pull the slide job off down on the low line, but that's not working for him. Behind him in 3rd place is Snyder, and Glatfelter is sitting there in 4th. He was faster in practice and qualifying, but can he make it happen during this heat race? He's going to try. He's going to try and use the low line and go 3 wide here maybe.
Glatfelter using a little bit lower line, trying to utilize some of that grip that is lower on the racetrack as we come down to 3 laps to go here. Redding starting to move away from the field. Melton in 2nd. In that final transfer spot with Ron Snyder as a battle for 4th commences between Joe Segala and Gabe Glatfelter.
Mike Holloway has taken it to the pits. We know he'll be going to the Comp C race. Less than 2 laps left to go to decide who else will join him and who else will go to the A main. Right now, things looking comfortable for Michael Reddin. At second, back through fifth. It's anyone's call. 1 lap left to go. Who's going to make something happen?
The worst of first for Redding in about half of the race, but now Joe Segala trying to find a way to catch up to Ron Snyder, just a little bit too far behind to get that final transfer spot. And it looks like this will be our top 3 coming to the line.
Reddin will take the win. It looks like, as you mentioned, Melton will take second and Snyder will take third. So Melton will start fourth in the A main and Snyder will start seventh. Everyone else goes to the consi.
So rim riding right now looks like the way to go, but you are always flirting with disaster when you're riding this cushion here at Lernerville. So easy to move up, miss that cushion, and fall off the track like we saw with Mike Holloway here. And now it's time for the next 6 drivers to come out and test their hand at trying not to fall off the track. That's only going to get worse and worse as the night goes on.
So we're gridding up for the second heat race of the night, presented by Jim Beaver Esports. Taylor will be starting from pole ahead of Willie Whittaker, Jason Mender and Justin Morton. 2 JMs there on row number 2. Kenny Kibbe and Stephen Spieth on there on row number 3. We have a lot of alliteration in this series.
From my calculations, it does in fact look like Gabe Glatfelter and Angela Taylor, their first races with the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. So cool to see some new drivers coming on in. Did not look like a great heat race for Glatfelter. We'll see if Angela Taylor will be able to flip some of that newbie luck here and try to get herself into the A main tonight, starting on pole here in heat race number 2.
I'm going to elect to start on the inside as opposed to heat race 1 where the high side was the desired position. Devon, is this a good track to make a debut? I know if you go off course it's not fun, but if you keep it on course it's an easy track.
Well, a debut is a debut. When you got to come out, you come out and you come and race. And of course, everyone has different favorites. I know plenty of guys who love this track, love riding the rim here, and love Lernerville.
All right, well, let's see who loves it tonight. Because here we go for the second heat race of the night. Taylor, the rear end of her car, steps out a little bit, and the 37 of Whittaker goes straight to the point. Already again looking like the high side is the place to be, as the number 9 also going to use that line, and Morton goes into second.
And look out, Steven Spies on the outside makes contact with Taylor and goes off the track trying to fight for that final transfer spot, and Menda falls off the exit of turn 4 as well. Kenny Kibbe is now in the final transfer spot.
Nice recovery there by Spies. He's got a lot of work to do, but he was able to quickly get back on the course and is only a few seconds down the road from third place. But still, with only 6 laps left to go, that might be too hard for even Stephen Spies to make up.
Yeah, he has a lot of room to make up. He does have Menda and Taylor in sight, but right now Kenny Kibbe just too far away, about a 3-second gap between third place Kibbe and 6th place Steven Spies. And up front, Willie Whittaker has a handful with Justin Morton in that rear view mirror. The 9 car trying to get out in front as we come down to halfway.
Taylor got into the front straight wall pretty hard, and that's the drop down to the back of the order, so that makes Spies' job a little bit easier. But and here we go, the battle's on for the lead.
Justin Morton throws a slide job. Willie Whittaker almost jumps over the cushion, able to save it though. Looked like Morton there decided to try to stay lower, did not take the risk of going all the way up the track, and does not get the reward either. And still Whittaker with a little bit of a gap here with 3 to go.
So Whittaker leading, Morton in second, Kibbe in third, and Spies is pulling off a slide drop move to try and get fourth, and he's done it.
Still a long way to go, though, to catch up to Kenny Kibbe. Still about a 2.9 second differential between Kibbe and that final transfer spot, who just ran the fastest lap of this heat race, and Steven Spies, who is in fourth. So it looks like Spies, Menda, and Taylor currently looking at a consolation race here coming up as Justin Morton flies off the track.
And Morton will try and recover back on the circuit. 1 lap left to go. I thought that was game over as well, but these drivers have got their... they've practiced their aircraft emergency exits or something, because they're getting right back on the circuit when everything goes wrong. Oh no, he's done it again! Well, this gives Speed third. He's coming fast on the racetrack. Speed goes by. Morton goes to the concede.
Wow. That one hurts for Justin Morton. Willie Whittaker will take the win. Kenny Kibbe in second. And Justin Morton, 2 errors there to knock him out of the A feature. And Steven Spies, by just the edge of those fingernails, claws his way into tonight's A main, a guaranteed starting spot in the top 9.
Spencer Gray was meant to start on pole for this 3rd heat race of the night, presented by Jim Beaver Esports. However, he has been given an EOL, an end-of-line penalty, so Spencer Gray will drop here. Now, how does this work in BRL? Does that mean Shepard will be the control car, or Wilson, who was set to start 3rd?
Well, what I have seen in the past actually is they will actually leave that spot open. So they will leave the inside of row number 1, essentially as if, like a missing man formation. I've seen that before. Otherwise, that will move John Wilson into P1. We will see what race control decides here. It looks like they will put Wilson here on the pole. In this case, though, does not get lane selection. So it will be Wilson on the inside of row 1 and Shepard on the outside of row 1. And that moves John Hine all the way from 5th to 3rd.
And that's very bad news for the competition here, because if they're making John Hine's job any easier, he's going to have a nice night. Now, of course, the starting order does not get inverted from the heat race results. So the fact that Speeds finished 3rd place in the last heat race, it doesn't mean he gets to start up towards the front. No, he'll still have his work cut out for him, starting back in 8th place. The driver who wins this heat race, they'll get to start 3rd.
Huge jump by J.R. Shepard. Everyone else in the field was sleeping and already has about a quarter straightaway advantage into turn number 1.
Yeah, that was a nice jump contact there between Chris Davis and John Hine. This is for the final transfer spot, and they're going to fight hard for it.
We'll see. The top of the track is already beginning to dry out a little bit. And already, Chris Davis prevailing on the outside as everyone scrambles and fans out into turn number 1. A little bit more contact between Davis and Hine, battling for that final transfer spot.
Yeah, John Wilson not really battling anyone, but he was selected to run low. I wonder if he's just trying something that no one else has yet so far tonight. So Wilson's holding down 3rd. Davis also trying the low line.
Everyone moving around, but for the most part, everyone staying stagnant from one another. You do not want social distancing here at Lernerville. You just want to go and race. Hine's still trying to catch Chris Davis. Still outside of his transfer spot as J.R. Shepard continues to lead here in heat race number 3, as it looks like Spencer Gray floats off the track.
Oh, and another one off the track, that's Wilson. And now the battle for 3rd is a battle for 2nd, and they're still banning fenders, even though they're pretty much both locked into a transfer now.
Hine flirting with disaster as well, way up there in turns 1 and 2. A number of mistakes we have already seen tonight, costing 2 different drivers a spot in tonight's feature event as we come down to only 3 laps to go.
Well, so we're seeing this happen more and more. Is there a reason for that, Devin?
Well, it's only going to get worse from here. This track can change so quickly. It's already beginning to slick off. The track is taking rubber and starting to get slicker. You're losing grip there. It changes lap to lap with how much grip is there. So a slight miscalculation can become major as Hine almost falls off again. Man, he is scaring me in P3 right now. But it's only going to get slicker up there and will become more and more difficult to navigate as tonight moves on. White flag here for J.R. Shepard.
I don't know how many dirt racing fans are also MotoGP fans, but John Hine is almost reminded me of Marc Marquez. It's like, oh, he's crashed. Oh, wait, no, he hasn't. He knows exactly what he's doing, because he's going to bring it home in third, behind Chris Davis in second, and J.R. Shepherd, the winner of the final heat race of the night. And now we move on to the Consi.
Well, I'll tell you what. Having no wall has been disastrous for a number of drivers tonight. We saw Mike Holloway fall off in race number 1. Justin Morton fell off twice in heat race number 2. And then John Wilson falling off the track in heat 3. 3 different drivers losing a transfer position by falling off the track. Might that be the key to success? How many spots might you gain just by not falling off the track tonight? I think that just being consistent and staying off that berm a little bit might be the difference between where you finish tonight and maybe a few more spots.
And it must be said that the drivers who have fallen off the track tonight, even though it's cost them a few seconds each time, they've all done a marvellous job at being able to get back on the track pretty quickly, as Joe Segala elects to start on the outside pole for this Consi race. But that might not necessarily be the case when it comes time for the main, or even in this Consi race. There's always a chance that someone might go off at the racetrack and lose their bearings perhaps even, and that could cost them half a lap or even a lap.
Absolutely, and when it comes to when you fall off the track, you've already made a mistake. You can't beat yourself after that even more by hitting the wall, looping it, gaining the grass. So in the situation that you do have to push yourself off the track, no matter if it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, or even the back straightaway, you gotta stay calm, cool, and collected and not beat yourself again by causing another mistake when you're off the track. Take your losses, get back on the track as efficiently as possible, not necessarily as quick as possible, because that can cause issues too, and just get back to racing.
Segala, Morton, Wilson, Glatfelter, Mender, Gray, Holloway and Taylor. That is your starting lineup for this Consi race. These are positions 10 through 17 for the A main. Here we go. Nice start down low by Morton. He's going to challenge Segala for that lead in the first turn, and he's going to take it.
Good slide job off of 2. Segala trying to cross him back over. Gets to that left rear quarter panel, side by side into 3. And being chased behind them as Menda makes a little bit of contact a little bit further back in the field. But Gabe Glatfelter now working on P2 against Joe Segala.
4 late cars keeping it on the track so far. A couple extra laps for this Consi race. It's a 12-lap race.
Ooh. Spencer Gray and John Wilson made contact. It ends up both of them going off the track in turn number 4. Disastrous for both of them as they both fly to the back of this consolation race.
No caution. Morton continues to lead up front. And I've got to imagine, as we see a battle for 4th place still on track, I've got to imagine that cautions are probably rare around here, because the cars that do wreck are just going to exit the racetrack.
Well, and it's not necessarily a wreck. There's, in most cases, no damaged car in this. And then also, since they're off the track, they're not endangering any other vehicles either. So no caution flies if it's just a 1 or 2 car incident, because it doesn't really affect the field.
So Spencer Gray has taken it to the pits. Oh, there we go. Off goes the 4 of Holloway.
And it can be so difficult. I don't even know if we can get a camera on the other side, because I'm sure that he got into the grass right there. Yep, look at him just slip and slide. It's like ice. And he will decide to go and take it in the pits instead. Yeah, that's just, when you get into the grass, it is so hard to come back from that.
And Holloway had been fighting Mender for 4th place, but we still have a couple more battles on track. We've got a battle for the lead, most prominently, Morton and Glatfelter. Glatfelter's been stalking Morton all race long, and now as they enter the second half of this Consi race, he's starting to challenge him for that lead.
This will be for the 10th place starting position in tonight's A feature. However you finish in this constellation is how you line up in the A main from 10th on back. So trying to gain a position every chance that you can. Glatfelter in his first race with the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series, trying to hunt down Morton. Pushes a little bit in the center of the corner and loses a little bit of time to Justin Morton.
And they may catch a lapped car of Spencer Gray. He's gotten back out there on track to try and put a position on Mike Holloway and gain that starting spot from him. Who can blame him for that? But right now the leader's hoping they don't run them down because they've got a battle of their own.
Absolutely, coming down to 3 to go. That might get thrown into the equation here as the cushion continues to get pushed out more and more. Glatfelter's starting to move more up towards the berm as well, trying to find a way to make up time on Justin Morton. But right now, that black and white number 9 machine starting to sail away with just 2 laps to go.
And you do want to win this race, because if you do, you get points, but also you get to start the main event from 10th place. That's on the high side, and I think that's where you want to be starting it. And Glatfelter's gone off.
Does a good job saving it, doesn't make contact with the wall. A safe re-entry onto the track, and Joe Segala takes second place, and it will be smooth sailing from here on out for Justin Morton.
Well, the conspiracy theorists will say Glatfelter did that on purpose for an outside start. I'll tell you what Morton did on purpose. He won this race, and well done to Justin Morton. That was a very hard-fought win there. Was able to hold off Glatfelter. I don't believe any kind of conspiracy theory I'm making up. He just drove a little too hard there, made a mistake, cost him second position to Segala.
And that is going to mean a lot once we move into this A feature event, because we're going to warm up right now. What does that mean? Well, not a ton. The track's going to reset. They're taking the blade. They're taking the water truck out to this track. Everyone will get onto the dirt now, take some practice laps, and this track will evolve quickly. And then when we come back out here for the feature event, the track state will move to 20%. That is more rubber on the track than these guys have seen all race long. And all that means is that the top side will be slick, and there will not be much grip once we get up and going on the green flag.
So warm-up is beginning now. Are you interested in advertising with GSRC? Well, our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to learn more. .1 minute into our warm-up session, so 4 minutes left to go. If you want to follow the live timing, you can head on over to GSRC.tv and see who has the fastest time in this final warm-up session. Our pole sitter for tonight's race, for anyone who's forgot, will be Michael Reddin, and Willie Whitaker will roll off second alongside him. We'll give you the full starting lineup before we go green here tonight.
And taking a look back at the last time the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series ran here, the top 3 from finishing that race, not in tonight's event. The highest finishing driver in last season's race here at Lernerville was Gerard Melton. He was also the hard charger, started in 15th and brought it home in 4th. So you can come up through the field. It's not a problem here. We do see some cautions because occasionally some guys are gonna get a little bit of contact here and there. So it's not impossible to make your way through the field, but boy, is it difficult.
So where would you like to be starting tonight's race?
First.
Okay.
Give me first.
And you would pick the...
I'd have to say the outside lane. And I'm not sure if that'd be the correct lane or not because of how slicked off the top is going to be. These drivers have not seen... I mean, it's almost like NASCAR, how they just dive into turn 1 without knowing what the track is like. Yeah, they know what the track is like, but they haven't driven on this slick of a Lernerville outside lane so far tonight. So that's probably going to be the fastest way around. You can survive on the bottom because it will have moisture in there, but it's going to be slick up top. It's going to be very easy to make a very costly mistake.
Michael Redding currently the fastest driver in warm-up, ahead of Spees, Melton, Hine and Morton. Of course, these warm-up times don't mean a whole lot, but give you an idea of who's still finding grip out there.
And of course, Lernerville, the home of many different racing series. In fact, they usually run the World Outlaws, the All-Star Circuit of Champions, both sprint car series, but along with those 410 sprint cars that they run every week, they also run late models every week and big block modifieds every single week. I think that they are the only track in the nation that runs those 3 categories of cars every single week, and we will actually have the big block modifieds coming to iRacing in an undetermined amount of time. So Lernerville in real life is going to start looking like Lernerville in iRacing life once those big block modifieds come on out here, as this is the most recent dirt track on iRacing. And Sam, if I do have to say so, my favorite part of this track is the pits outside the track, and you have to come through the gate. It is just like real-life Lernerville, and I absolutely love the off-track pit edition. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and when you get to go into short tracks throughout the United States, you'll find that that's quite common around here. I'm surprised, honestly. The more I thought about it, I'm surprised this is the first track we have here on the iRacing that does it. Also, I downloaded this track for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and you learn in a test session that all the grassy areas and the pit lane are a nice little playground if you bring a rallycross car or something here.
Oh, that was my favorite, especially we saw last time here at Lernerville in the Dirt Street Stock Series. That track entry can be quite dangerous. I mean, it is literally a jump. If you guys take the free VW Beetle and just gas it out of the pits, I mean, it is a good jump. It is scary if you're driving a 410 sprint car or a midget and you're on the gas just a little bit too much. It will turn you, but yeah, this track is fun to just go and play around for a little bit.
All right, warm-up just finishing up here. And the fastest driver in warm-up is Michael Reddin, and second place is Stephen Spees was the second fastest in the final warm-up here. But now it's time to get gridded up. Now it is main event time. Starting on pole will be Michael Reddin in the number 30 machine. To his outside will be Willie Whittaker. These are the qualifying times you're seeing on screen there, not the starting lineup. We'll have him on the left side of your screen. There you go. J.R. Shepherd will be starting from third. Alongside him is Jared Milton. Kenny Kibbe starts fifth ahead of Chris Davis. Ron Snyder and Stephen Spees on row number 4. John Hine and Justin Morton round out the top 10.
Joe Segala in the black and green, number 81, will start things off in 11th. Gabe Glatfelter in his first race with the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series will open things up in 12th. Jason Menda will join us in the orange and black beef jerky, number 45. In 13th, John Wilson will begin things in 14th. Inside row number 8, Angela Taylor in the 38 car. In 15th, Spencer Gray in the red, white, and blue, number 93 in 16th. And rounding out the field in 17th will be the number 4 car of Mike Holloway. Your field here at Don Martin's Lernerville Speedway.
All right, I've been trying to make notes this season on how every driver's season has been going. And then they keep messing it up on me because every single race we get new drivers, which is great to see, but makes my notes a little bit useless. But I do know one thing about this front row, and that's that Willie Whittaker is looking for redemption. He had a good race going last week at Lanier, but there were a lot of cars left on the lead lap at the end of the race. He spun in the caution that brought out the final yellow of the race. That dropped him all the way to the back, and he definitely didn't get the finishing result that he deserved.
And even going back to the season opener at Eldora, he was battling for the win. That was his debut in the series. Still looking for that first win, though, in BRL.
Well, he's got a clear track in front of him. The problem is he does not have control of the field. That belongs to pole sitter Michael Reddin on his high side, the driver of a number 30 machine. Green flag is out. We are racing here at Lernerville. Already Reddin right up top, and Whittaker is going to join him up here, but we have some cars using the low line. The battles for second as Reddin runs away.
And how about J.R. Shepherd, the short track asphalt driver, trying to use that inside lane, just does not have enough grip to make up any time as he will lose the fourth position to Chris Davis. Right now, Michael Reddin starting to move away from the field as Davis now tries to throw a slider on the 75 of Gerard Melton. A little bit tight quarters there as now Kenny Kibbe looks to the inside of everyone. Boy, these guys are having some tight racing.
All three wide Banyan fenders for about 6th place there coming off the turn. Yeah, Melton started 4th, so he got the scar up high. He's been there ever since and now making contact as they go down the back straight, but so far clean racing from this field. Although it must be said, we've yet to have a caution 3A main this season.
Yeah, I don't anticipate having here. Morton is up on the wall and misses the corner as well. That happened last lap too, but he was able to make the corner, but now a costly mistake as he drove his way up a little bit through the field, and now will have to restart at the very back without a caution.
Yeah, and he'll be about half a lap down, I think, by the time he gets back out there on the racetrack. At the very least, he's all the way down in 17th place. Michael Redding is unchallenged up front right now. Second on back are starting to single file out, but they're about a second back of our race leader.
About a half straightaway advantage right now for your leader, Michael Redding, in that black and white number 30 car. Steven Speeds trying to make up room right now in third, trying to make a pass, or now actually trying to make a pass right now on Melton. Speeds with the fastest lap of the race last time by, still stuck in fourth, trying to make his way around Gerard Melton, but still Willie Whittaker in front of this pack in second.
The cars actually are trying to get
Whittaker off the track.
That's very unfortunate, because again, that won't bring out a yellow and that will drop him to the back.
He got stuck in that grass. I'm telling you, it is like a sand pit. Another driver off the track in the back of the field, but still back up to second place. Steven Spees trying to battle off Gerard Melton for that second position. Chris Davis right behind them in the 07, stalking, waiting for a mistake, but still it's Michael Rain out front. As Gerard Melton gets turned by the 07 car, caution will fly.
And Speeds got hard into the wall trying to avoid all that. So yeah, we've had 3 drivers go off course so far, but the first yellow flies as a couple cars come together battling for second place here in turns 3 and 4. Melton goes around and that brings out the yellow.
And excuse my verbiage there, it looks like the 75 car started to turn on his own. And now taking a look here at Steven Spees' angle of this as he kind of starts to fall off. Caught by the wall. The 07 car kind of helps him straighten it out as well. That might have been actually helpful there. So excuse my verbiage there when I said the 07 turns the 75 there.
Well, Speeds has done a whale of a job this race at being able to work his way up from 8th on the starting lineup already into second place. I know you've told me time and time again, Devon, that these cars are tanks and I shouldn't be worried about the damage to the right side of his car, but should I be worried about the damage to the right side of his car?
Nah, this is just sheet metal. It's just there to throw sponsors on. Everything's all good. These guys will take hits like monster trucks. The only time when a dirt street stock really starts to have a problem is when that front suspension starts to get knocked out of alignment. And even then, if it's just a little bit, sometimes it helps turn the car on this dry slick track. So in order for something really detrimental to happen to these machines that weigh, what, 1.5 tons or something, they're literally the weight of tanks. They got to get a lot of front end suspension damage for it to really affect the car.
All right, so Redding will restart up high, Speeds will start down low, and I was starting to notice just before the caution came out that the drivers are pretty much actually using the front straight wall as part of a racetrack now. The guys on the high line getting their tyres all the way up there. Here we go, back to green flag racing. Redding using that berm on the outside down, the front straight up by the wall. Speeds straight up into second and out of here.
And then Hine almost falls off the track, gets into the quarter panel of Chris Davis. A lot of contact there from a number of different drivers on that restart, and Speeds moves all the way to the back of the field, and now they're wrecking in the back of the pack. Spencer Gray looks like was the first one, maybe turned around there. Mendes facing the wrong direction. Whittaker and Melton were also in on that, and I think even Justin Morton might have got a piece of that action. So Mendes ends up getting turned around here, and you see Gray gets into him because he checked up, and then dominoes.
Fortunately, lots of minor contact there, so shouldn't be any damage. It just means they're going to all drop to the back. Taylor had also gone off on that restart, so they'll be happy that a caution flew quickly. And Spees gained those positions back from Gray and Mender. He was able to get on by before the yellow flew and is up to 14th.
Well, the cruise shop is on the hood of Michael Redding, I believe. Or excuse me, no, that's a different car I'm thinking of, but I was just thinking cruise shop. Where's John Hine? Uh-oh. He's all the way up to 3rd now.
Yeah, the cruise shop and Jim Beaver Esports, of course, are sponsors of this series, and we appreciate both of them for coming on board and making all this happen. Right on board John Hine in 3rd place. As you mentioned, that could be a bit scary, but at the same time, we saw just with Speeds on that restart that even though you're up front, the job isn't done yet. You've got to keep it on the brown stuff.
Of course, there's still plenty of work to be done and work on the track as well. This will continue to slick over as we look out the right side of John Hine's car. You can see where it's dark over there on the right side where Michael Redding's driving. That's where the track is slicking off. It's actually losing grip as rubber continues to go over the track. And so it becomes more and more difficult to go full throttle around the outside of this track. I don't even think at this point they can run full throttle. It's just too slick up there, and it's going to continue to get slicker as the race goes on.
All 17 cars still on the lead lap, which was great for us, but bad news for whoever else spins, because that means they'll be going all the way to the back. It probably won't be Michael Redding, though. He's already checked out on this restart. Oh, we got one spinner, and it's off 2 cars around in the first turn. No caution.
Cautions breeding accidents there. Looks like Melton had an issue there, maybe even Spencer Gray along with him. So a couple of drivers in the back of the pack with even more misfortune than usual. But still up front, Michael Redding starting to pull away from J.R. Shepard and John Hine. Gleb Gladfelter has also moved into the top 5 along with Kenny Kibbe.
Melton on the outside there going a lap down. Roll Snyder also ran off course there on the restart, so bad news for him, because as we say, we start green, and now we stayed green, and now the attrition might start to play a factor as drivers drop off the lead lap and got more trouble in turn 2.
Chaos all over the racetrack, but the leader still staying good. We'll take an onboard shot here as Gladfelter continues to look on at the top 3. Trying to close on in, it becomes so difficult to be dynamic up on the cushion as we get a caution now. More incidents here as we reach halfway.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone spun, but Michael Holloway was very slow on the front straight, so maybe something happened to him. I also happened to notice the front end of a 37 car of Whittaker is really pushed in. He's been up the back of someone pretty hard.
Looking like a real dirt street stock there on Willie Whittaker's machine. Started up front, has had to make his way up through the field in the back. He's advanced his way up to the 11th position now. Still has a lot of work to go though, and that car sure looks like he has a lot of work going and a lot of work done.
Now, 15 cars still on the lead lap. These drivers do get one free repair. I don't know how wave arounds and lucky dogs work within this series, because normally everyone stays on the lead lap or is out of a race. So we'll see if Taylor gets to come around. Great.
No lucky dogs, no wave arounds here in Bootleg Racing League. So if you're down a lap, that's it. You better race your way back up and win yourself that lap.
I wonder if they're going to clear black flags for Gray, because he was about to go a lap down and he just held it wide open next to it in the pits. Definitely broke a pit limit. Yeah, they're clearing the black flags for him, so they're letting Gray stay on the lead lap. So, as you mentioned there, then BRL doesn't do wave arounds of lucky dogs, so that's bad news for Taylor and Melton. They're going to have to hope for more drama. And at the way this race has been going so far, though, they're probably going to get it.
Well, just past halfway, we will go green. 16 laps to go this time, and plenty of drama still going to happen.
Redding intends to stay out in front of it, although that's what he's done so far tonight. A good restart, but not a great one. Shepard keeping him honest, but contact from third on back.
Gladfelter pushed in the center of the corner, and that sent him back and was swallowed up by all the drivers. Contact, Hine gets into Davis, and Davis flies off the track. We will stay green.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Davis, who has only done 2 races so far this season and finished 4th in both of them. Was looking for another solid finish, but that's going to make it a bit harder for him. How's Speed's doing coming through the field? He's already up to 8th after his incident a few laps ago.
Halfway through the field, and just in front of him is Justin Morton as well, battling for that 6th position with Joe Segala. As that outside lane continuing to move up through the field, has Glatfelter right in front of him as well. A number of guys making their way up through the field and up through the back, but right now the top 3 running away from the field. Redding, Shepard, and Hine leading the field.
Holloway got out of the racetrack, exiting turn 4, and that dropped him to the back of the cars on the lead lap, down into 15th place. Redding still holding a solid lead with 11 laps left to go. I think we might start seeing a battle for second, though, between Shepard and Hine.
And how about J.R. Shepard, for the first time in this new season form, if you will, got a win at Kokomo, his first British Stock Series win in the latest stretch for the Bootleg Racing League. Known so much for winning so many asphalt races. Menda will bring out a caution here, but real quick on Shepard, he has just continued to get better and better on dirt, and that has to scare everyone in BRL because of just how much he's constantly winning on the asphalt side already.
Menda was attempting a slide drop here in turns 3 and 4, and it just didn't go the plan.
Yeah, battling up here inside the top 10. Got off course down the back straightaway, tried to get back on the track, makes contact, and it's funny enough on these street stocks how they are tanks. If you don't hit someone in the rear end correctly with a lot of gas, it ends up spinning yourself out, and we got a little crazy there afterwards.
Yeah, I guess I glanced at that incident a little after it happened. It looked like a regular pass gone wrong when I saw it, but obviously we got a bit of a better idea on the replay there. So Redding continues to lead ahead of J.R. Shepard, who, as you mentioned, is having a great race so far. He's been in 3 races so far this season. His finishes have been 4th, 7th and 8th. But I think all of his races so far have had a bit of drama involved in them. He just wants a clean, simple race, drama-free race, I'm sure. And if he can stay up front, maybe he can get one. That's where you need to be, because it seems everything beyond third on back has been a little bit crazy today.
Well, I'm hoping that drama is all we get out of this restart, because we will go green with 7 laps to go. And the only thing that I can think of right now with that short time frame is this restart might be a little chaotic.
All right, Redding looks, I mean, providing he gets the kind of restart that he has all night long, he should be safe. But if he does, then the battle will be for second again between Shepard and Kibbe, who has worked his way up to 4th. Here we go. Yep, so there we go. Another good restart by Redding. Shepard on the low side, Kibbe up high. Hine gets the lane to himself in 4th place, and then they're about 3 wide from 5th on back.
A great jump by Kenny Kibbe, moving himself from 4th into 2nd place ahead of J.R. Shepard and John Hine. Now with a chance to try to run down your leader, Michael Redding, as there is still a hornet's nest behind him.
Less than 6 laps left to go. A caution would end this race if it happens in the last 3 or 4 laps. Got 1 car off at the very back of the field, but so far everything rather clean up front. Kibbe trying to hold on to 2nd. I'm not sure anyone can do anything about Redding.
Redding has absolutely driven away from this field. John Hine now trying to throw in some haymakers into turn number 1. Gets side by side with J.R. Shepard, but just does not have the speed to keep up with him. And how about Justin Morton moving his way up, working up into 5th, and Speeds is just 2 spots behind him. 2 drivers who've had to make their way up from the back of the field.
Yeah, I'm still not sure 7th place is exactly what Speeds wants in his championship hunt, but after the chaos of tonight's race, maybe it's really good just to salvage a few points. Battle on for 3rd place as Hine is trying to make a move down the inside of J.R. Shepard. They cross the line, just 3 laps left to go.
Justin Morton throws a slide job into turn number 1. Caution flies. We will see where they mark Justin Morton and John Hine there in the timing, as we have some more difficulties out in the back of the field.
Yeah, my apologies. Hine was back in 5th place there. Melton is the one who brings out the caution flag, and I think that might be our final caution flag of the night, and it's going to end the race. I mentioned a couple of laps ago I saw a car going off course. I believe it was Whittaker. So unfortunately, a second race in a row that Whittaker is going to finish towards the back. And there's what happened to Melton. One car upside down. That's Mender. So Melton and Mender both involved in that.
Yeah, it looks like just was a little bit too hot off of 4 and makes contact with the wall. We'll see him pushing the cushion here. Ooh, just wasn't able to stay on that cushion, falls off, then ends the race on his hood.
Well, if the virtual fans at Lernerville have to see a crash end the race, it might as well be a dramatic one, but I'm sure that won't be any consolation for Mender, who will drop all the way to 16th. Melton will drop all the way to 17th because pretty much everyone else was still on the lead lap by the time the race comes to its conclusion, which it's about to do as Michael Reddin is coming out of a final turn. He'll see the checkered flag first under caution. Great race by Kibbe in second and Shepard in third. Everyone from fourth on back, I think, are happy just to have survived.
Yeah, ends up being a race, being the battle of the fittest here, survival of the fittest, I should say. And it ends up being Michael Redding taking the win. And he certainly earned this one tonight, dominating the field and taking the win here at Don Martin's Lernerville Speedway.
Well, I'm sure he's going to celebrate here on the front straight for us, but as he celebrates, and he's going off in the infield to play around there, yeah, he's going to Victory Lane. There we go. He's going to park in Lernerville Victory Lane. Perfect parking and perfect place to leave it for our quick break. And when we come back, we'll get to speak to our top finishers and give you a full race rundown. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to Lernerville Speedway, where we just witnessed round 5 of BRL's Dirt Street Stock Series here. 40 laps of racing action. Unfortunately, a few of those laps were under the yellow flag, including the last one. But no one can argue the fact that Michael Redding deserved this win. He controlled the field all night long. The first to win from pole position this season. Kenny Kibbe comes home in second place. It's his best finish of the season, ahead of J.R. Shepard. Justin Morton and John Hine rounded up the top 5. Gabe Glatfelter finished 6th place in his first race, ahead of Steven Spies, who gathering some points for his championship fight in 7th. Joe Segala finishes in 8th, ahead of Ron Snyder and John Wilson.
and just some difficult nights from here on out. 11th was Chris Davis, 12th Mike Holloway, 13th Spencer Gray, Willie Whittaker. Man, just a tough night for the 37 car, finishing in 14th. Angela Taylor brings it home in 15th. Jason Menda 16th. And Gerard Melton rounds out your 17 car field here at Don Martin's Lernerville Speedway.
All right, well, we have our race winner here to speak to, Michael Reddin. First off, congratulations, Michael.
Appreciate it.
How difficult was it tonight? I mean, you made it look easy, qualifying on pole. You beat the field on each restart and then won the race. But you had to use that high line, and we were seeing all night long cars go over that cushion and basically exit the racetrack.
I wasn't really much of a struggle tonight for me as far as where the car felt. The car was on rails. Felt good all night, and I don't know. It's just my night.
Yeah, it worked out well for you. Were restarts the key there? Did you know that as long as you got a good restart, you were going to be able to hold off the cars behind?
Yeah, you got to separate yourself from the car down low, because if you don't, once you get off into one, they could throw the slider on you and take that line away from you. So I knew that I needed to get a good jump to keep that gap from happening.
This is the first time we've seen you this season. Are we going to see you back for the second half of the season? And if so, do you think you can fight for the championship, or you're just going to be going for the wins?
It's going to be off and on until real racing's over with. Took this season, and I'll take part of next season off, and then I'll be back full time. But when I do show up, it'll just be for wins.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing that happen. Anyone you'd like to thank, or anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to my team, MR Evil Motorsports. Willie Whittaker showed a strong running earlier tonight, and he had some unfortunate things happen. I got to thank Max Auto Motorsports, TAC Designs, and Young Gun Creations.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Sir Michael, and we look forward to seeing you back here shortly. Now, that was your race winner, Michael Reddin, and Devon, you have called up with Kenny Kibbe.
Kenny Kibbe makes it work from P4 to P2 on that final restart to bring it home in the runner-up position. Kenny, take me through that last restart there outside of row number 2 and makes your way up and takes home P2.
Yeah, I mean, I had an advantage being right behind Michael, who's the control car, and at first I really didn't even think I got a great jump, but it was better than the guys around me, and then I had the preferred line, so I just needed to make sure that JR didn't slide up and try to clear me, and he didn't, and then just hit my marks and not go overboard or over the berm, and just keep it going, and that's what we did. And JR had to fight for just to stay in third, so since we didn't really have a long run there at the end, it kind of sealed the deal for us.
And speaking of that cushion, it was just so treacherous tonight. What was it like riding on that cushion all night long?
Yeah, for me personally, I'm really not that comfortable at this place, and I would run typically like half a car width lower than most people. I just did not want to go over that berm, so that's the way I dealt with it, is just to be conservative. There at the end, I was maybe pushing it a little bit further, but this is not where I expected to get my first podium for sure.
Yeah, it looked good tonight. The inaugural champion, or I should say just champion a few years ago of this stretch here of the Dirt Street Stock Series. Who do you got to thank for bringing it home P2 tonight?
Well, I like to thank everybody at Bootleg Racing League. It's a fun group to race with. Everybody likes to ride along with me on Twitch for my live streams. And, GSRC for everything you guys do with the broadcasts. And the cruise shop as well for sponsoring this series. And yeah, that's I'm glad to be out of this place and go on to the next one, but I'm really happy with the result.
Well, NG Kibbs in the 14 car brings it home in second. Congrats, Kenny.
Thanks, Devin.
And now we will catch up with our final podium finisher. J.R. Shepherd is with Sam.
Yeah, JR, you had to fight for that one. A lot of great wild racing, pretty much from third on back there. Are you happy with a third place finish?
Yeah, I can't complain at all with a third place finish. That's it's one of the toughest tracks for myself. My driving style just doesn't fit it very well, but yeah, thankfully the track slicked up pretty good, and that allowed me to be able to have a decent run.
You've had decent results all season long. You've finished 4th, 7th, 8th and 3rd, but you've also had a little bit of bad luck. Is this the first time you've been satisfied with the result? You know, is the season starting to come to you?
Yeah, it really is. The past races have been pretty tough. I just seemed to get myself in the wrong place at the wrong time, and started to wonder what I need to do different to actually finish without having a lot of contact made. So tonight was very clean. Thanks to Kenny for racing me hard, but racing me clean there. So it definitely could have been roughed up, but thankfully just brought it home in clean and good fashion tonight.
So after a clean finish tonight, are you looking forward to next week's race at Fairbury rather?
Yeah, that's a fun track to run at for sure, especially if it slicks up. For whatever reason, I mean, I'm not a dirt driver. I'm trying to learn each and every time I get on the track, and when the track's fresh, I'm just not able to lay down that fast lap. So hopefully the track will slick up a little bit and give us some options to move around, and we can go to work.
Well, you certainly went to work tonight. You've had a lot of pace this season, Treyar, and it's nice to see it finally pay off for you. Anything else? Anyone else you'd like to thank, or anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, just thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to do this on Friday nights, being able to come and run dirt. Like I said, I'm not a dirt driver, so this is a great place for me to come and try to learn and get better. And a big shout out to the Cruise Shop for being a great sponsor for the Bootleg Racing League. They've done a lot of work with us, and we really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate it too. It's so great seeing these shows put on. Congrats on your good finish tonight, JR, and we look forward to seeing you back next week.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Well, Devon, it wasn't the cleanest race we've seen so far this season, but definitely a lot of excitement out there.
Well, it was chaotic, and you go from a track that's almost half a mile wide with no walls to a track at Fairbury. Nice short track racing. It's still pretty wide, but that wall will come at you a little bit quicker. And how about a shout out to our GSRC hard chargers tonight, Justin Morton from 10th to 4th, and Gabe Latfelter. He was also 6 positions up as well, 12th to 6, and he had a good night and unfortunately falls outside the top 5, but still a shout out there for your GSRC hard chargers tonight at Lernerville.
All right, well, we've got a few people we'd like to thank before we wrap up this broadcast. First off, are you interested in advertising with GSRC? Because if you are, our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to learn more. We would also like to thank Lowell Jewell, as well as all of the competitors and the organisers in the Bootleg Racing League for coming out here tonight and put it on a crazy show, but great one nonetheless. Thanks also to the series sponsors that help make this all possible, the Cruise Shop and Jim Beaver Esports, there we go. Thanks also to all of the companies that provide us with the software and hardware needed to help make these broadcasts possible, and there you see them listed on your screen. Additional thanks goes out to June Lalonde, who provides us with our great music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Devon, Sean and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming broadcasts, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on our social media pages. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storemv.com. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss another exciting moment here on GSRC. This series will be back at the same time, same place next week on Friday, July 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our next race from Fairbury, not Fairville, Speedway. We also have the upcoming races for our other series listed on your screen, so check those out, mark them down in your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.